Hey guys, I'm going to walk you through this process. It's going to be really simple. Just pay attention to the things I'm going to do with the triangle, okay? We are going to learn how to plot each of the centers of a triangle on GeoGebra, all right? So the first thing I want you to do is make sure that we have the origin centered, and then let's begin from there. So you are going to use the polygon option. So we're going to click on polygon, and then you're going to construct any triangle you want, okay? So right after you finish, let's begin with the first of our centers. There are four, just so you know. So let's begin with doing this. You are going to have GeoGebra do this, and then you're going to say, I want a perpendicular line that, you know what, we are going to ask, I want a perpendicular bisector, this one, okay? So you are going to ask, I want the perpendicular bisector of this segment, and then it immediately draws that line. You're going to choose another segment, and then it does it. And the third one, and can you see they all are going to concur, that's the point of concurrence, to a common point. And I'm going to ask GeoGebra to do this intersection, create an intersection, click on it, and then, I'm sorry, something happened here. Yeah, now, as you can see, that point D is the center, okay? This is what we call, actually, you are going to find out those names. What is the name of the center where the perpendicular bisectors of the triangle intersect? What name is it? Okay. We want to keep it, but we don't want to keep the lines. So that is why you're going to go to this option, and you're going to choose the checkbox thing. Oh, wait a minute. No, this one, the one where you see the arrows, and then you're going to click on show hide object. So you click on it, and then you're going to click on each of the lines, and then you click on the arrow, and then you see they disappear by the point it didn't disappear. So we have the first of the centers. You are going to find out the name, and then we're going to continue. Now I want, and I'm going to click on this menu. Now I want the angle bisectors. So let's begin. I want to now do the angle bisectors by clicking. I want the angle bisector of these two. So you saw that I just chose or clicked on the two segments that form that angle on at A, and you see how these two lines are formed. And I'm going to do the same thing with the other two angles, interior angles of the triangle, like this, right? And there you go. So what I want you to focus again is on the intersection. So you're going to have GeoGebra create it. There you go. Once you create that center, again, you are going to hide those many objects you just saw, the multiple lines created. All right, I'm done. So I'm going to click on the arrow and move. Okay, there are two centers now. What is the name of the center where the angle bisectors of the triangle concur? That is the second question. Let's go with the third one. Now, I want to draw a couple of segments, 3 segments. These segments go from the vertices, from each of the vertices of the triangle to the midpoint of the opposite segment, which means that the first thing we need to do is this. I'm going to click on this menu, and I'm going to ask to create midpoint of or center. So what is the midpoint of this segment? For example, you can now see point F. What is the midpoint of BC? You can now see point G. What is the midpoint of AB? You can now see point H. And what we're going to do now is you're going to draw segments, and these segments are going to start like this. You are going to connect A and G, A and G for segment. This is called the median of a triangle. How many medians? 3 medians. So let's continue. I'm going to connect C and H. And then I'm going to connect B and F. As you can see, all of them concur or meet at a certain point. I'm going to move this letter E, all right? And I'm going to move the triangle a little bit. That point of concurrence, what is the name of the point of concurrence of the medians of the triangle? That's another question. I'm going to create that intersection. That's point I. And then, as usual, I'm going to hide the medians. Click on each of them, and then arrow. Now, there are 3 important points here, E, I, and D. These are 3 centers of the triangle. We need to find out their names. Now, the last one. The last one is formed, the last center is formed by the formation of the altitudes of the triangle. So the altitude of a triangle is a segment that goes from a vertex to its opposite segment in a perpendicular form. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create perpendicular lines. Let's begin with the segment BC. I want a perpendicular line to BC, but it needs to pass through point A. I just created it, as you can see. And I'm going to do the same thing with the other 2. Now I want a perpendicular line that passes through AB, but I need it to pass through point C. So I'm going to choose the segment first, and then I'm going to click on segment on point C. That is the second altitude. Now I'm going to create it for segment AC. I need a perpendicular segment. In this case, GeoGebra is creating lines, but I hope you see my point. Then you go from AC, like a perpendicular line to AC, passing through B. So I click on B on AC, and then I'm going to click on point B. And as you can see, again, a point of concurrence. I'm going to ask GeoGebra to create a point of intersection here. It's point J. And again, I'm going to hide these lines. 1, 2, and 3 lines disappeared. So guys, now you have 4 points. J, E, I, and D. You will need to find their names. It's really easy. I know that some of you are going to Google that, but I want you to ask a couple of questions. And those questions can be answered after you realize that you can do something. I'm going to click and hold, which means that I'm going to drag. Once I click and hold, I will be able to move the mouse and drag each of the vertices, for example. You see? And can you see that as you move and drag each of the vertices, what happens with the centers? Can you see how they move? So I will have a couple of questions for you guys. Once you find their names, you will be able to answer other questions that you will see on that activity, on that classwork. So the first thing you need to do is this, being able to, on GeoGebra, create the triangle, create those centers, find their names, and then answer the questions you will see on that activity. Good luck, and see you next time.